How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Q&A. Today we're joined with Mod Sween, Mod Ed, Mod Isaac. Wow, it's quiet in here. Mod Ash, Mod Kieran, and myself, Mod Archie. We also have Mod Maz on the keyboard, grabbing questions from the chat. Just at RuneScape if you have any questions. It's been a while since Ash has been on. They've been missing you. How are you feeling?
Fine, thanks. Sorry, been away quite a lot lately. Back now.
Fair enough.
Yay.
We have plenty of exciting things happening in today's stream and plenty of questions to get through. First and foremost on my notes of things to talk about is the Gargoyle Boss design stream happening tomorrow, 1 p.m. BST with Mod Ghost. These design streams are becoming a bit more frequent. You guys are absolutely loving them. Maintaining a solid viewership for 5 hours is quite something impressive, actually. They will be uploaded to YouTube afterwards if you don't miss them, or if you don't catch them, rather. But yeah, do tune in tomorrow, 1 p.m. BST, and watch the Gargoyle Boss design stream where Mod Ghost will be going a bit more in depth with even more to that content. And speaking of Gargoyle Boss, we have an animation to show you today, which we're going to save for maybe around the halfway point, so don't go anywhere. We also have the Dragon Slayer 2 requirements, rather exciting. And that is it for my notes of things to do. So let's get into the questions then. Frank says, could there be a prayer altar added to the White Knight's castle in Falador? There still isn't one in the whole city.
I thought there was one.
We had this discussion.
Okay,
Is there one? Like, no one knows.
Yeah, we brought this
I
up.
did it long after 2007.
There's one in RuneScape.
Yeah.
Other game.
And the top one's also, right?
And then we also have one in our game. If you want to go a little bit north to that dwarf guy, and then past him near the ditch, there's an altar there, right? Right? Yeah.
There is the Chaos altar with the next to the one as Amarak spawn, if that's what you mean.
Yes.
It's a bit of a trek.
Well, you could run to like where you started Kazroos. There's one there.
Anyway, we certainly did stick one into the RuneScape. Would have been about 2011 or so when I did it. I remember having trouble fitting it around the walls because it's got fairly thick walls in that castle. But we could do that kind of thing again. I don't think it was a very convenient place though. I stuck it at the back end of an upstairs room in the castle. When it's got so many stairs, you have to really know your way around it.
I'd say it wouldn't be. It'd be nice for lore and like have a city with a prayer altar, but it wouldn't be much use for one.
Yeah, I think we were doing it more because people pointed out, but there ought to be one, and also it's kind of a multi-zone, so people got a bit more interested in trying to train there. Except the White Knights don't drop anything worth having, and the game isn't short of other places to train.
This is why would we even add this? Why do they want one?
Yeah, just buy and make prayer potions.
Immersion,
My God.
Kieran. Like,
Or is it like a Falador?
it's the
Is it like a Falador
city of
only Ironman or
Saradomin,
something?
and he doesn't have an altar there. That's fishy. That is. There's some conspiracy going on here.
Oh, could this tie to Dragon Slayer 2?
Grandmaster Quest
Spoiler
confirmed.
Okay, I think it's safe to say that that one is probably not at the top of our priority list. Do you keep asking every week though? Because, well, we've asked it twice now.
Give me a solid reason.
Heisenberg said, thoughts on Dorgesh Khan revitalization in the future, potentially tying into one of the quests already on the table, or even Land of Goblins, since it's in the archives already. I spent a lot of time there. It's a shame to see how dead the city is. So, for reference, this is an underground-only Ironman.
He's the one who's been posting the underground facts each day.
Okay.
So
those would be some good facts.
So we had a question from the Falador only Iron Man demanding a prayer, and now we got the Dorgesh Khan Iron Man asking for. But legitimately, Dorgesh Khan is pretty cool.
It is.
It's one
It's
of
a
my
really
favourites.
cool place. It's got modern graphics
nice.
for 2007, and I'd love to have more content there.
I would too. That was my reason as well. It looks great.
I'm just not
There
sure
is
about-
some content there. It's just pointless.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily choose Land of the Goblins as the way to go with it, especially as that quest ends on a massive cliffhanger, which, if you don't mind the spoilers, but it's been a decade since it came out, so perhaps you know. Zanuck climbs into a box, and the lid shuts, and then it ends. So, and also it comes. I don't think you spend a huge amount of time in the city doing that quest either. So maybe something else.
Well, it's the same issue. You do the quest and then it's done. You don't have to go to the city again.
Whoa, spoilers.
Right.
Sorry.
Maybe
Also,
he's still in that
spoiler
box plotting.
alert,
10 years
guys.
later, he's ready to wreak havoc.
Well, maybe somebody should open the box and empty out any sewage that's turned up in the intervening years of waiting in there.
I just want to know if a quest where you pick up a big, massive crate again and walk around with it, with Zanuck in it.
Why are they saying she?
So what we say?
Because Zanuck is a she, and you mentioned he a few minutes ago.
Oh.
You assumed Zanuck's gender.
I asked the developer of those quests to have a chat line at the end of Chosen Commander where you could ask Zanuck to marry you after all these adventures you've been on together, and then Zanuck could turn out to be a massive racist who doesn't like humans after all, and just let you follow along for the helper all this time. He wouldn't do it.
Wait, there's vodka in that
So,
thermos.
what it turns out, you actually uncover a massive criminal organisation called MAR, Monsters Against Humans.
Children of Ma?
Yeah.
Okay, realistically though, I think we'd like to see some content there, but
If we get,
I mean,
if we get a suggestion for us,
yeah, I'd say if it came down to kind of fleshing out the content there versus filling in one of the black holes of content that is yet to be filled out on the map, which would the community rather see? Would be an interesting question.
Although next time we're putting down an NPC who sells something or does something or has a service you want to keep going to, if we can find a reason for them to be a goblin or find a lack of reasons for them not to be a goblin, then we could just put them in that place. It's not short of buildings either.
All right, fair enough. Let's move on to the next question then. We've got one from the chat. Quest says, would you ever think of adding Gnome and Barbarian Advanced Agility course?
I don't think we really need them.
It feels like there's less need for them because we added those rooftop courses.
Rooftops fill the same agility XP gaps that they filled originally when they were added. I'd rather do something different to agility courses if we were to do anything again.
Although regarding that, you know, we polled a long time ago to ask about offering marks of grace from other courses than the rooftop ones. It didn't pass, but I think it was over 50%, and it would be one way of making Dorgesh Khan's course a little bit more appealing if we offered it again.
So what's always interesting is, so how we can answer questions is we can either take our time with them and wait until the chat catches up and then see the spam of no's or yeses and then base our decision off of that. Or you can answer confidently quickly and hope that you also line up with what they're saying. And I think Kieran's just done that, so well done.
Somebody just mentioned the Mayadich course. That's an idea that came up a while ago. Like an agility course going around the Drekhan's castle sort of thing.
Yes.
If you go around it 100
That'd be cool.
times, you get a headache.
All right. Where are we at here? J-Man says, buffs to Sacred Eels, Infernal Eels, and Amethyst. For Sacred Eels, 50% higher catch rate with Western Elite. Infernal Eels make smashing them give smithing experience, similar to Sacred Eels' cook experience. Amethyst to give 25% faster mine rate with Fally Elite. Those are some big buffs.
I know that we were looking at doing something with Sacred Eels.
We were on that, I think we put it in the blog.
We
wasn't
were
that
originally
bad.
proposing to put it in, and then we had some concerns around balancing and exactly what to buff. So
did we
we were
take it
like,
out?
it's been taken out, but it's one of those things that we could more than possibly put back in again once we come to a decision on how to buff them. So.
Yeah, I would like to buff them. We were willing to just do it for anybody who goes there rather than making it diary dependent, but we can make it diary dependent if they prefer.
Okay.
Boof.
Oh,
Boof.
Do you say,
Did I say boof?
do you say buff funny?
Did you say
Buff.
No.
Buff?
I just say buff.
Okay.
From now on, it's going to be boof.
Bertho says,
Hold on, what about the other things though? Sorry, you mentioned amethyst arrows and also
smashing his
smashing
infernal
them for
eels.
smithing XP.
yes.
Yes, that's how fast do you get those things, and what kind of smithing XP would come out if we could do that?
Depends what XP value we put on it, I suppose.
I suppose.
But I'm nothing against it. I would think it would probably need a smithing requirement, though, to be able to justify
If
it.
it was going to be anything other than a token amount,
I think amethyst are probably worth looking at as well.
Yeah.
There was some
What
support on
was the
that one.
suggestion for Amethyst with the Elite?
25% faster mine rate with Fally Elite.
I do like that it's tied to mining it rather than merely doing things with it when you've got it.
People, it's come up a couple of times, Amethyst. It doesn't seem to come up as much as the other stuff, but it has come up before. And people's main concern does seem to be the whole mining part, so we could potentially look at something. I
Certainly,
think there's a few
want-
high priorities, so things have come up more often, but we could look at it, yeah.
It also makes a difference whether they're interested in getting the XP and chuck the thing on the floor, whether they're interested in getting the amethyst. And things where they're interested in getting the item, I'm quite happy to increase for them.
Okay. Bertho says, can we get a mini-game update? For example, increase the woodcutting experience from Taibo One-Eye Cleanup and make it so you get herbs after cutting down the jungle. Or make it so you get combat XP lamp after defeating the Pest Queen at Barbarian Assault?
Well, we can
They
see
seem quite
queen.
disparate.
We see queen kills done very quickly. I hate to see Bar of Assault farm for combat XP. That's not really the intention of it. You get really good items from it. So
He's already got good rewards.
it's
So.
yeah, it's got very good rewards, I think. And then I don't understand why we'd give herbs for cleaning up a jungle.
It's jungles are green and herbs are green.
Oh yeah.
Given what else hide in those jungles, you could justify anything.
We
Yeah.
really could. I mean, it's got all manner of stuff turns up out of
Yeah,
that,
true.
including very large men with very long sticks who are hiding in a very small bush.
Well, I think well done to Sween there as well. You voiced the opinion of the community without having to rely on the chat, so well done. They're all in agreement. Sorry, question asker.
It would be nice for Taiwan One Eye to have something worth going back for, because I remember it came out, I went there straight away and spent a whole day on it, and eventually got myself a red topaz machete and a set of clothes, and realised I never needed to go back, and I never have. So if you could get something worth having out of it, like herbs, in what would be a non-combat thing for a change, but it's still not safe, I'd actually be keen.
I do have quite a full memory of when it was released and the masks, I can't remember the name of them, were released.
Brilliant.
Everybody running on World 44, everybody was running gnats through the general store to the altar, wearing the mask and trying to avoid being hit. That was quite fun.
Yeah, you get gout tubers, they're worth like 800k.
I can see him moving on in the chat, so off we go. Also, can we see a buff to regular mining for coal, gold, mithril, and adamantite? They're all pretty bad XP and GP.
We gave him a bit of a buff with those
Yeah.
mining gloves.
I said even still, it's still not worth doing. Problem is, do we get to the point where everything needs to be at the top level?
That's the thing. Like, we could keep buffing things all day, but then if we buff them over top of other things, well, then we have to buff those things, and that's called power creep.
I could see it individually passing a poll over and over and over again until a lot of power creep has happened.
Yeah, we're accused quite often of enabling like the RS Freescape, Easyscape, whereas we're pretty adamant against doing that. So us saying no is an example of that.
All right, next
Tell
question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
stop criticising.
SGT says, could you please consider buffing ancient wyvern drop tables? Currently, they have comparable drops to skeletal wyverns, but have higher requirements and are much harder to kill, making their GP and XP per hour even lower than smaller wyverns in the cave, which have the lowest requirements of the three. High requirements, more difficult methods should reward more, example being demonic gorillas.
On average, you've still got that chance of getting the wyvern visage from it, which is worth mint at the moment. But you're almost certainly not going to get one anytime soon because they're pretty rare. So I see why they might not be getting very much.
There were a couple other notes maybe we can chip in here. Also, the original poll, the question of the ancient wyvern visage specifically asked if it would be dropped from ancient wyverns, and yet it drops from even the small new ones, further contributing to ancients being dead content. And then lastly it says, the ancient wyvern shield has almost no use considering it's a magic shield, and all wyverns are highly resistant to magic.
Interesting.
He does not like wyverns, this guy.
It's quite common, and there's a lot of people that have mentioned about the tables, and obviously when they were first introduced, the tables were lower than what they are now, and it's a difficult situation because you've got the skeletal wyverns,
Which are pretty darn generous.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like, okay, do we now buff the ancient wyverns and make them on par with the skeletal wyverns? Do we make them better? And it's another question of where does it end? Do we nerf skeletal wyverns, for example, to make the ancient wyverns more appealing, given that they're a bit harder?
Right.
So when Fossil Island came out, that was one of the first things we went to the community with, which, like, what should we do with the drop tables of these things? And we said, well, we could start by bringing skeletal wyverns down a bit to a rather more natural level of drops for what they are, and for the actual difficulty of killing them. And then we could make sure that these other things are balanced around their new level. Or, if we try to balance everything else up to match what skeletal wyverns are doing, we end up with 3 extremely powerful things out there.
Right.
Not saying it's egregiously overpowered, but it's pretty high.
Well,
And the players were pretty sure they did not wish us to nerf their very generous skeletal wyverns. Thus, the situation persists.
I would argue if it's a balancing change, we could deem worthy nerfing Skelly Wyverns?
We haven't ruled out permanently, but we chose not to on that occasion.
Right.
Not least, which is that they have pretty high slayer level, so it's not like any level 3 is going to rock up and have a go.
Right.
I think one of the important things on there, though, you mentioned there was that the smaller wyverns having access to the visage, and if the poll explicitly stated that they should only be available to the ancient, that might be worthwhile that we have a look at. And
yes, we can take it off to the smaller ones. I do not recall how that particular decision arose.
Yeah, we'll take it away, and I'm sure we'll have a look into that.
I was wondering if anyone did and could explain. I see. Overwhelming player feedback on launch or something, leading to an unpolled change. Yeah, we possibly shouldn't have done that. Sorry.
Very well. That's one thing sorted. As for the wyverns, whether we nerf the older ones or buff the newer ones, that's probably a discussion for something other than this Q&A.
It's a discussion we've already been having, frankly. Like, we see the feedback coming in.
Including here with no nerf, no nerf, no nerf.
Yeah. So.
Boof them.
Okay.
As soon as we decide to do something, you'll be the first to know.
Moving on. Starbucks says higher leveled version of Crumble Undead spell. This is one of the coolest spells in the game, and once you pass level 30, you don't use it anymore.
So like a new spell, they'd like it to scale itself based on your level.
This says higher leveled version, so I would assume a new spell.
We already added a better version, didn't we?
That wasn't that magic, the Slayer Dart.
Oh, that's Slayer Dart, yeah. Sorry.
Right.
What's in Crumble? Destroy undead,
Obliterate.
Obliterate undead.
How you crumble a ghost is a bit of a mystery to me. Not that anyone needs to kill ghosts very often.
Ooh, I don't know. Isn't Crumble Undead one of the more powerful free-to-play spells as well? Apart from
Didn't even know
Fire
it's free to play.
Blast. I'm quite
It
sure
is.
it's free-to-play. Yeah.
I think I used to use it when I was
So did I.
training.
Back in the Hill Giants, next to the zombies there.
Varrock
Or
sewers
rock
was my
sewers,
place.
yeah,
Yeah.
because of safe areas there.
I remember using it in Varrock sewers across the river.
Yeah.
Safe spotting.
On the zombies.
Okay. Yeah, we've actually got a handful of free-to-play ideas that have come through, so maybe worth considering a few options there.
It's not going to affect their PvP,
Yeah,
so we
fair
can have a
enough.
little more flexibility than we usually do.
Right, next question then. Wonder says, oh, here's another free-to-play one. What do you think about having a free-to-play boss in the Asgardian Ice Dungeon? The boss could maybe be an ice mage or wizard who attacks you with blizzard spells. Killing the mage/wizard would get you a blizzard cape, which would give you a much-needed boost to free-to-play magic, which is underpowered compared to range.
And he drops Wizard Blizzard.
Now, free-to-play magic being underpowered compared to range is, I don't know.
I don't know, because in clans it's like one of the go-tos. for
Yeah,
massive,
it's very
so-
accurate.
Yeah. Maybe there is scope for the boss though, but maybe with different rewards. I quite like the idea of expanding upon the giant bosses.
Oh, yes.
It's a discussion we've had. We've
Yeah.
looked at could we emulate what we did with the hill giant boss and look at the ice giant boss and so on. I think we're quite keen on doing it.
We are.
Hill Giant boss was fantastic.
And it'd be nice to do more of that kind of thing, not high level, but upper mid-level for free-to-play.
As for the reward he suggested, not too sure about that one. But next question. This is a great question. I would highly encourage more of these, please. I will always choose these ones.
I don't know if it's going to be sarcastic. Should be good.
No, I'm not.
No?
Sonic says, what's the earliest RuneScape memory everyone on the team has?
Ah.
Wow.
That's a nice question. I mean, we've answered it before, but it's been a long time.
Go first. My next door neighbour knocking at my door saying he's found a really good new game to play, and it's RuneScape and it's on Miniclip. I was like, okay, cool. So we spent the next few days running from Lumbridge to Varrock, mining via tin and copper, running back to Lumbridge, smelting the bronze, running back to Varrock, smithing it, selling it to the general store, rinse and repeat, and then we realised we weren't really getting anywhere. And I don't know what happened next, but
Does this friend know you now work for the company?
I'm not sure, man. I haven't spoken to him for years.
Oh, we need to rekindle this relationship on stream.
I remember the first time, basically the first day I played, obviously my friend already played, and he was helping me get into it, and I logged on for the first time, gave me a full set of bronze, felt pretty pimp, but then there I realised, what's the point of bronze? It's exactly the same requirements as iron, but just worse. Anyway, That was cool though.
And harder to make because you need 2 ores.
But it looks cool. It's got that going for it.
I had my first ever memory was my friend giving me a myth dagger, which was a big upgrade from my iron scimitar. So that was like, wow, I should probably buy you a lunch tomorrow at school, type of memory.
It's real world trading, technically, man.
I didn't do it.
You didn't do it. You thought about it.
But I spent, I don't know about you guys, how quickly you guys moved into members, but I spent a long time in free-to-play.
Yeah.
I did a lot of chopping yews and willows and big bones and flipping and merching and being very self-sufficient, going to Karamja, fishing the lobbies, cutting the log because nobody else would, cooking the lobbies, going to lesser demons, killing those all day. Some good memories there.
Dude, I had to pay for membership by SMS.
Oh, that's my mum.
Because my parents wouldn't dare let me use their card to pay for it. Because it was a bad, it was a bad thing to spend my time on. Hi, Mum. Don't worry, I was studying for my career.
He really was.
Yeah. I think for me on that one, I for a long time didn't know how to train defense. I didn't realise that changing the attack styles would actually be able to train defense until my friends at school were like, dude, why have you not got any defense levels? Like, I don't know how to trade it. Like, oh, well, okay.
Were you just like an attack pure then?
He was an accidental pure.
That was really early days, right? And then, a couple of months on from that, it was just I used to go around and hand out free sets of iron to people at Lumbridge. I thought it was cool. I'd like mine it at Varrock, go and smelt it back down to Alcarid, then run over to the anvil in Lumbridge and then go and give it to people.
It's like a wannabe
Samaritan.
Wannabe PMod. You're like, by the way, recommend me for PMod. I'm a good
Report
guy.
everyone on the way. I'll get PMod one day. But, yeah.
Anyone else? Are we moving on?
Ed?
I think they might like us to move on. Go on.
Yeah, we are having a lot of moving on. Well, when I first started playing, the internet was still dial-up. I remember my parents would only allow me an hour. There was a little timer in the corner of a screen. So I had to be the ultimate at efficiency scape. Only an hour. That's all I was allowed every session.
So you didn't waste time dabbing?
No time to waste on dabbing.
That could be a new game mode. 1 hour a day only, man. How far can you get? Hey.
I'm not sure I want to encourage our players to play less like that.
1 hour man mode.
All right. Nicholas says, does the team have anything in mind for the first maxed hardcore Ironman? Looked him up. He's only like 3 levels away. 1 woodcutting, 2 construction, I believe. So, don't know how long it takes an Ironman to get construction, but...
I said I'd wait till he's a Serb and kick him.
Yeah.
Congrats, bro.
Wait till he's in combat. Oh, man.
He can
So
give himself a
unfortunate.
pat on the back.
Hey, we can throw him a tweet, I'm sure.
I think that seems warranted.
Give him a tweet. Yeah, I think he'll have a lot of acknowledgement. That's a pretty fantastic achievement.
It's a
to be
great
fair.
thing.
Yeah.
We'll send him some stuff.
Cool.
And then when Hardcore Iron Man Deaths tweet out, we'll give that a retweet too.
Yeah. Jickloom says, can we get greater Ankus in the catacombs? You guys say catacombs, I say catacombs. A stronger version of the current Ankus, as many of us skip/avoid tasks due to them being very weak.
So I've seen otherwise that apparently some people do Ankus as quite like a point task that can take anywhere less than like 5 minutes if done properly. So
well, presumably they'd still be able to do that as long as we left some of the existing Ankus available, and there ain't a shortage of Ankus.
By adding some in the catacombs, they would not be just an XP task. They would not just be a point task anymore.
Yeah, be
because
XP
they'd
as
suddenly be in multi-combat. You'd be able to barrage them or burst them, and they'd be really good.
Could we ask for our first straw poll? I think maybe Mod Maz, if you're up for it.
Exciting. Is it about the pronunciation of catacombs?
Greater Ankus, yes or no? Essentially, do you think Ankus are worth doing? If not, would you like them?
They're already in there, they're saying.
Or
so why are we asked to add them? They're already there.
There's Ankus in the catacombs. They want greater
Ankus. Greater
Yeah.
Ankus,
like
yeah.
Ankus, but
only
better.
if we can call them Dankus or something
No.
like that.
It's better than what I was thinking of calling them, which I can't say on stream.
People's opinion are they're already too OP then. That's what I'm saying.
Wow, you're just going to go with the people?
Yeah, I'm going with the people.
Well,
with the
I'm not
community.
going with the people.
They need more
we need
than
to see
me.
the struggle.
I'm going
We
with
need
the
to know
opposite
for
of what
definite.
Kieran says. All right.
Yep, someone guessed what I was thinking.
We'll have the straw poll in the chat momentarily. It's in there. You can scroll up and try
Is
to
it the one
find it.
beginning with D or W?
Oh, he came up with the D one.
We'll find the next question then. Here we go. Lion says, can you implement the Deadman mode chin update into the original game? So in Deadman mode, we recently said what, even you can't drop them while you're in combat? Was
I
that
think
it?
if you drop them, they just become visible to everybody immediately.
Yeah.
And yes, we just take out the dead man check.
I think we said we were going to see how the reception was for Dead Man and then look at applying it to the main
Also,
game.
whether it worked.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I'd say the reception's been quite positive. Of course, Dead Man players don't necessarily represent the entire community for the original game, so perhaps some community feedback to come from that. Something certainly worth exploring, I think.
Was something similar not polled before?
We did something
did,
very
yeah.
similar to all the items that normally fall to the ground. Chin Chompers weren't covered by it because Chin Chompers normally vanish and use very separate code. But we just wrote something similar for them for Dead Man mode.
So we've pulled Greater Ankus being in the catacombs. 75% yes, well done.
Well, that'll do it.
They passed, they're in the game.
Ganku's coming up.
Right. Best says, can we have a message of the day function for clan chats?
I think we've answered this before. At the moment, no, but we'd like to do that.
Okay. Kat says, can we get a crier at the Grand Exchange warning players of typical lures and scams?
People will ignore it. Okay, so think back to when you first started playing RuneScape and the trade window, and there weren't the warnings and the flashing red icons you saw, and people got scammed. So then we introduced the warnings and the flashing red icons, and now people get scammed. Whatever we implement, people will ignore because they get used to it, and it's a habit. So unless we started changing it randomly per trade, you're, yeah.
Having the warning on the trade screen makes sense because you can, well, it's there in your face when you're trying to do the trade. Having the warning appear every 10 seconds or so above the head of one guy in what's usually quite a crowd of people all shouting, bit less effective.
Don't change its natural selection. Wow. I must admit, like...
That's cold.
It's very cold.
Well, supposedly you cannot fix human stupidity.
I've never understood how anybody can fall for a doubling scam, but that's, you know...
But he said it was genuine.
Do you
and
not
his
want-
mate did
Do you
too.
want,
Yeah.
do you want your money doubling?
I mean, if you lose
From
money
armor.
to a doubling scam...
I'm
Next
not
question. Next question.
Then we have sympathy for you and we feel your pain, but we can't always make it impossible, especially by having an NPC occasionally saying, watch out for scams.
Right. Bess says, oh, sorry, we've already answered that one. Hector says, can giant seaweed get looked at? It currently only gives 10 crafting experience per piece when using super glass make.
We asked Mod Wolf about that, and he's kindly having looked at it for us to see what it's trying to do, because he thinks that doesn't sound quite right either.
Fantastic. Armored says, can birdhouses give bird eggs?
What would you do with them?
The
Collect
same bird
them.
eggs that already exist.
The ones that come
Hand
out
in for prayer
next.
XP.
Yeah.
A tiny bit of
Feeling
prayer
for
XP,
the thing,
isn't
the
it?
Woodcutting Guild.
New,
Yeah,
new,
you got a chance of getting the evil chicken outfit with them.
new high tier consumable omelet,
God omelettes again.
scrambled eggs.
Oh, what about a new pet? And it can give you a chance of a new pet, the evil chicken, instead of the evil chicken outfit.
Right.
Nope. Okay.
Moving on.
Moving on. Thico says, combine wyverns and fossil island wyverns as one task. It's pointless having them as separate tasks and a waste of points for people who skip wyverns, since they have to skip 2 tasks now instead of
The
1.
only reason you're saying that is because they both happen to be similar wyverns. Like, you cancel both. Let's say you cancel Ankus and you also cancel Fire Giants. Like, you can't just say they should be in the same category. They're just 2 separate tasks, and that's how it is.
Same with dragons, black dragons.
The
Different,
thing is,
different tasks
for
with
me,
dragons,
it doesn't
etc.
solve the problem that if the fundamental problem is fossil island wyverns aren't worth doing that just allows you to avoid them more easily. When in reality, they should be somewhat worth it. They should have some sort of benefit of killing them.
Perhaps if there was something unique that we wanted to introduce and we did it via them, they'd be a bit more used to going there. We have visitors, I think.
Right.
Also, to be honest, like wyverns, you get assigned like 10. Why would people cancel wyverns? Just do them, you get good points over in no time.
I love this. When we have to teach them how to play the game.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
This is my opinion.
Let's be
There's no
honest.
facts.
Let's be
here.
honest, right? Some people won't be happy unless they can do the same 4 tasks on repeat, where
Yeah.
they can sit in a corner and barrage all of them, and then say, "Okay, cool. Look how good I am at Slayer."
Yeah, those guys are bad players.
I
But
like
we
them,
appreciate their custom.
but
I'm sensing a new modified soon.
it's not Slayer. That's not Slayer. Slaying very efficiently. You know, you game the current meta, but we won't change our future updates to fit your meta. You have to adapt your meta according to updates. Would be what I'd say.
Right.
Fired. There
You're
we go.
either making friends or foes at this point, so keep going.
We can't put ourselves in a position where we can never add future Slayer tasks. It's just
Yeah.
crazy.
All right, off we go. Taken says, can we get a way to decant to 1 dose? This would be very useful when making staminas with the Amulet of Chemistry, setting up for activities where 1 dose potions are more useful due to inventory needs.
Yes, we wouldn't be able to just copy RS3's code for it because they used a rather different data structure to define their potions, but we would be able eventually to adapt it. Wouldn't be a very quick job, but we can do it like they did. Maybe, you know, when it's got supply additional vials, because you can't fit them in the same number of vials. What RS3 did, I think what I did for them was take the GE price of an empty vial and charge you that for all the vials it was supplying. What we could do is have a slight cash sink by charging 1 more than the GE price for empty vials, just to drain little coins out of the game as we go.
Yeah, sounds good to me. I would use that.
What we wouldn't do is make them supply the vials themselves, because that would be a pain in the wasp name.
Could we look into 6 dose pot soon? No.
Yeah. All right. Moog says, can we see a real skilling challenge? We have the Inferno and Raids, and soon Raids 2 for PVM, but I feel lacking something really difficult with skilling. Wintertod is easy, the volcanic mine isn't too difficult. Can we get something that really challenges skillers and isn't something based on time and grindy? He has an example, a reference rather. It's a really bad example, but on SpongeBob, he has a cook-off with King Neptune to see who could cook the most Krabby Patties within a certain time. Perhaps you could have an arena where you could challenge an NPC to a skill-off, where you would craft and cook and fletch as many items as... You get the idea, there's a lot.
The Great Gellenor Bake-Off.
You read me this question earlier, and I had to go and watch the Fry Cook Olympics episode like straight away.
Yeah.
What a great show SpongeBob was.
Yeah. In response to that, maybe there's there are
Maybe.
Not
I
in the
can't tell if
SpongeBob
this
style,
question's
but-
a meme or not, really.
Yeah,
but-
it's one of those things. So one of the things that I'm looking into at the moment is just very top-level concepts that we could potentially make skilling more difficult in that sense, but there's nothing that I'm comfortable just talking about yet. So at some point,
Oh, the tease.
So you're doing something next week?
next week, sure. I'll be speaking to a few people about it. I'm sure there'll be info that will be put out at some point soon.
Okay. Let's start grabbing some more from the chat, I think. Actually, you know what? We're about the halfway point. Shouldn't we reveal the Dragon Slayer 2 requirements?
I don't know. Maybe we should.
Yeah?
We can straw poll it.
You got a dab before we release them.
Yeah.
Well, looks like we are not releasing the Dragon Slayer 2 requirements today, guys. Tune in next week.
I was saying I should take his left arm. What I use to take the right arm and make him dab.
Ed,
Shall we reveal the Dragon
Let's
Slayer 2
reveal them.
requirements now?
Yes.
So here we go. These are the requirements for Dragon Slayer 2.
There's nothing off the bottom, is there?
So, no, that's all of them. There's nothing put off the bottom.
Okay.
Well, where's the 99 rune crafting everyone was worried about?
Off the bottom.
It's unfortunately
I asked to had that one removed.
not
50
there.
hit points. What kind
Oh
of
my
player do you
God.
think I am?
So you got the quest requirements on the left there, and you have to complete all of those quests. There's none of this do half a quest when you can get it. You have to complete all of those quests to be able to start. And similarly, you need all of those skill requirements at the start of the quest. You don't get them halfway through. And you cannot use buffs either. You have to have those requirements. There you go.
That
Of
easy
course,
spam.
even if you've got all those requirements, you may not find it all that easy to complete the quest.
Yeah, I think something that's worth bearing in mind is that a Grandmaster quest should not be defined by the requirements. If you guys really want, we can give you a quest which has 90 requirements across the board and takes 5 minutes to complete. It's not great to do that. So instead we're going to actually make the quest itself hard as well.
Oh, now you've got a lot of pressure to make it extremely difficult.
didn't we look into how many people have the requirements?
Yeah, we got some data on looking at those requirements. There, we got data on how many of the active players actually have them. Less than 10%. I think it was about 5% of the active player base. So
Our Twitch
all those,
chat.
5%, that's nothing.
so
like,
all those people in the
not that
chat
easy.
spamming easy.
You are the
half of them
5%.
probably don't even have these
Oh, I don't know,
requirements.
they could actually be the elite people who speak to us every week in these intelligent comments we always see.
We should straw poll. Is the Twitch chat
Well, not
smart?
that.
For what it's worth, it's a similar percentage to what had the Monkey Madness 2 requirements when we announced those.
It's lower than Monkey Madness 2 was at the moment.
Yeah, people-
Obviously that could change.
People
but-
still find Monkey Madness difficult, even with the guides and weapons and armor released since then.
Also, from what I've seen of your plans, I wouldn't want to try and do it on 50 hit points.
Oh, for sure.
No, yeah.
Okay, it must be the case that...
And obviously, if you look at some of those, like Ashley just mentioned, like 50 hit points, you're trying to do that quest on 50 hit points, you won't have a great time. And similar to Monkey Madness 2, we had on there were requirements for agility and thieving, 60 in each, but with that kind of thing, you might want to get a bit higher to have a really good chance of not having a bad day, really, with things like that.
Turns out every single person in the chat is within that 5%. So.
This chat is the 5%. But
Go
and
you.
also, it's worth bearing in mind that we don't want to just go straight up to 90s, right? If you look at Monkey Madness 2, it had one requirement in the 70s, and that was it. I think the highest skill requirement before this was, I think it's 72 woodcutting on Grim Tales. So we're upping that to 75 magic, so we've got a new highest. We're going to slowly keep upping it, but we're not just going to jump up there straight away. And ultimately, like I say, most importantly, is that the requirements do not define the quest.
I suppose you could always say, to begin this quest, you must hand over your max cape. But it wouldn't add very much to the story.
When are we planning to release a date in mind for this quest to be released?
Ooh.
Because now I'm very interested to watch the streams of people running and dying. in
We're
it.
not ready to announce a exact release date just yet, but I am comfortable saying that it will come very early next year, January, February time.
Okay,
I think that's fair.
As soon as we have a definite release date, obviously we will share that.
that's fair enough.
See, if we go and predict a date right now, while we're still, 3 months work to go, and we find that turns out to be more like 3.5 versus 2.5, then that's the kind of difference can upset people quite a lot when they find that something's been pushed back for a week or two.
We could go out for a team meal. Maybe the meal's not good quality, and we're off work for a month with food poisoning and no quest.
All right. We have a couple of things we were going to show in today's stream, I believe. Actually, we had the Gargoyle boss animation.
It's a video with sound.
Are we able to throw that in there now?
You asked me to edit the sound. I didn't do anything to it.
Yeah?
Don't worry.
Good.
Let's cue
Has it got
that.
sound still?
I don't know. Let's find out. Oh, we won't. Hopefully players will.
Oh, there's a green door.
Oh.
Such
It
colour.
is silent here, so.
Oh, it's bright.
I really love the colour scheme.
He's a temporary model.
Work
that-
in progress.
Is that the new best in slot longsword?
Sounds incredible.
Fight him!
Was it fine?
I just wanted to show the spawn. And it's very abrupt.
Hey!
That's so cool.
That was amazing.
Thanks for ending it there.
Where did we get the music from?
I wrote that.
You wrote the music? Very well done. It's not you
kind
playing.
of finished it off on Monday when I was off.
Fair enough.
Sounds great.
I always think that's interesting. Because, I mean, before... What year? We didn't used to have custom music for every single boss fight and stuff, right?
Old School's been using my music since late 2013 when we did a Thanksgiving event and I stuck in Gnome Village Party. But for a start, I've got a full-time job and I don't get to write a whole lot. And also, I'm very much an amateur, so we've got an actual professional audio team around the corner and we try to borrow them where possible. So they do all the Fossil Island stuff, for example, because I couldn't have churned out that many tracks. But first one-off project like this, I like to if I can.
Is there anything this man can't do?
Oh yes, yes. Fortunately, I don't have to do it in the workplace very often.
And I just want to, like,
3D modelling and animation, I can't do it at all.
and that is a nice segue to the fact that Yeah, Mod Ghost made that spawn animation. I think it looks incredible. The way that thing flicks its wing into existence and then it fades back out, jumps down from that plinth into the arena. Awesome
Big
stuff.
round of applause for Mod Ghost.
Hey.
Wherever he is.
Again, speaking of the Gargoyle boss and all things related to it, we do have another design stream, as I mentioned, with Mod Ghost tomorrow, 1 p.m. BST on this very Twitch channel. So don't miss that. It goes on for 5 hours. Should be good fun to watch.
Yeah, we'll keep on giving the odd little sneak preview as development comes along. And I did see some questions about when it's coming out. We are aiming for the end of this month. So that's all.
Quite busy, really. I mean, then we have Deadman looking to be in December, right? So, yeah, busy time.
Between Halloween and the Make All update and this, the next few weeks are looking quite exciting.
And we have had a couple of meetings about Deadman. I said we're not going to talk about the stuff. We've got a dev blog that's coming next week.
Can't help himself.
Right? I want to let them know that we're listening to them.
Yeah.
We have made, we've said we'd like to make some really amazing changes, I think. People have said that this last season of Deadman was the best one yet. I think this next one's going to be even better.
I can't wait.
Yeah, every suggestion that's come through to us about how to improve the changes we made to the season, we've taken to a meeting, we've discussed them, we've implemented some, haven't implemented others. There'll be a devlog coming to you Tuesday or Wednesday before I fly to TwitchCon.
And if the plans that we have set in motion right now for the final hour go through, that is going to be the most amazing final hour to watch. Anyway,
We'll see. A bunch of people asking when Halloween's coming. It's coming at Christmas.
Joke.
Ha! Good joke.
Thanks.
Next question. Squeezy says, can poll questions be polled less on a take it or leave it basis? For instance, if I were to vote no on a new piece of content, the Gargoyle Ring, for example, it would just not be added to the game. But what if I could vote no and give my reason for it? Let's say when I vote no, a box appears below asking me why, with predetermined options, etc. You get the idea.
We kind of do that. I mean, the thing about predetermined options is that whatever the option you want isn't there. Like, the way it works right now is people vote in a poll and they go to their choice of social media, Reddit, Twitter, or the forums, and express their opinions on there, which we do read very often. And we have re-polled things in the past that have failed first time round. We've made some tweaks and then they've passed with like 80, 90%.
I think if you find something that's going through a poll and you like the concept, like you really like the idea and you'd love to see it in the game, but maybe you don't agree with the numbers, personally I would still vote yes to that and then have faith in the dev team and the QA and balancers really to bring things down to what they should be, and maybe if I feel like the numbers aren't right, they might be corrected. But I don't know. I suppose that's...
Every poll is accompanied with a blog or a news post dedicated to it. At the bottom is a discuss this update on our forum, or we'll discuss this announcement or whatever on our forums, which takes you to the announcements forum, which we engage with quite heavily. As soon as that news post goes live, we watch that frequently, in addition to Twitter and Reddit and so on.
Yeah. And as well, we're trying to get them out as way in advance before the poll goes, so everyone has a chance. We can look at the feedback and then adjust accordingly, so that hopefully when they do go in, it's around about where everyone wanted it to be. So.
Right. We're leaning quite a bit on the Twitch chat for the last bit of this stream. We've got several questions left, but we'll start grabbing from here. So Mazrath says, will the Rune and Addy dragons need a Slayer requirement?
Nope. But you will need to have done the quest to get to them.
Okay. Tacit says, will the artisan skill ever be repulled and reworked?
It's pretty rare that I see anyone asking for that. I don't see it being massively more popular than it was last time.
The only clamour for it seems to be people who want a new skill, regardless of what the skill is. So, yeah.
I don't really want to add a skill just for the sake of calling something a skill.
Exactly. I agree.
At what point do we consider a new skill? Is it when they've become bored of all these existing skills and everybody's all maxed?
Until we see something that
or...
can generally add, I don't know, to the game, rather than just throwing some content that has no use.
Yeah.
Well, take when we pulled sailing and it didn't pass, we opened up the topic of why not? Rather like the last thing we talked about, we had a look around the community to see why people said they hadn't voted for it. I think Matt even found a way of sending actual directed messages to people whose accounts had been known to vote no on it. And a lot of the responses we got back were we'd rather see you do more to fill up the existing skills to 99 before having yet another one that will probably be empty in the upper 20 levels.
Shall we do a straw poll? Not on Artisan, but on would you like to ever see a new skill come to old school RuneScape?
Oh, ever is a very strong word.
Yeah.
See, I would
That's why I'm
vote yes
interested
to
in the
that.
offer. That's why I'm
Because
interested in seeing the answer.
playing the game 10 years from now, I might be like, new skill. Hey, who would have thought? 10 years from now,
There's a
now
lot of
I
people
like
saying
it.
no, they don't ever want to see a skill, and I'm interested in what sort of ratio this is at.
I wouldn't say ever. I'd say within like 5 years, but you know.
Ever's a lot longer than 5 years. We're going to
I
be
know
around
that.
for a long time.
That's what I'm saying. Hey, I mean, 5 years from now, me will be very different from current me. I might want a skill.
People lose their max copes and they don't want that.
Some things never change, Chris. You'll never be a skill.
Okay, that's true. Make a PvP skill, maybe. Monmaz is typing away at that straw poll. We'll have that in the chat momentarily. Moving on to the next question then. Badge says, could more resources unlock to buy at Nightmare Zone in Deadman mode? Currently only herb box and redirection scrolls. That mostly made sense.
We never wanted to encourage people to spend huge amounts of time in an instance on Deadman mode, and Nightmare Zone is one. So we deliberately limited what you could be doing it for.
Yeah, I think if we were going to introduce more resources for a Deadman mode, we'd think of doing them in other places. There are more viable ways that would have more risk associated too. I'd probably rather see that.
Yep. We have the results from the straw poll. Wow.
I gave them options.
Yep.
Would you like to see a new skill come to old school? The majority, being 50%, said yes as soon as possible. No, not soon, but maybe a long time in the future is 41%, and only 9% say no, never. So those are the most vocal 9%, because all I could see was the 9% guys yelling. But a majority of you guys would actually like to see a new skill. That's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, 91% are basically saying at some point in the future of old school,
They want a new
a skill would be cool, but
Lovely.
not anytime soon. Is what's also prevalent.
I can work with
Wow. Interesting. Okay. Let's grab one from the chat then, or the the old chat. Zayo says, many older quests such as Shiloh Village need to be brought up to code. For example, Shiloh Village has scenes where...
There's Ned, who appears in the Legends quest, by the way.
Okay, that guy. He talks to you in the chat box instead of through talking heads like any other quest would, as an obvious holdover from RuneScape Classic. Is this under any priority? Not reworks, just bringing them up to snuff.
Well, bringing them up to snuff practically is a rework. Even if we, trying to work with the rather ropey old code that did come over was adapted fairly rapidly from Classic. Trying to patch into that is not always straightforward, and if the developer doesn't know exactly where all the code's going because it's such a labyrinth, then you run the risk of creating obscure bugs when you try a thing like that. So if we were doing a sort of polish over it and bring it up to current standards project, we would be retesting this quest from scratch, even if all you really wanted was to change how the NPC communicates. Not to mention that if you use the normal chat box and it's the one the player can click through, you have to rethink your structure in case the player clicks out of it, whereas with the whole text delay thing that Titan used to use, that makes it a lot, well, the player can't get out of that whether they like it or not. Obviously, whenever we're doing a different job in the same piece of code, though, we will try to, tidy what's around us. For example, quite a lot of the code for falling off the waterfall or going over that, I tidied and polished up a bit while I was, I think, installing the option to get in there without Glariel's necklace post-quest. So we try and do these things when we're doing another job in the same place. But I can't see us ever sitting down and saying, I'm going to have a developer spend a week polishing Shiloh Village, or possibly the Player Meant Legends quest if they talk about Nezgichened, because it's Rashalai you're dealing with in Shiloh Village. I don't see us spending a week of programming time and several days of QA time to do that kind of thing to the older quests. I remember when we offered to rework the arena for Nightmare Zone to make it not a copy of the King Black Dragon lair, and that didn't get a whole lot of support because people had so many other things they wanted to spend the time doing instead. I see this going the same way, only with more time.
Right, a lot of spam right now about mobile. Unfortunately, I don't have any updates for you. I can tell you that they're still working on it all day, every day. And I actually did have a question asking if you'll only be able to play it on top-end smartphones. And the response I got was, we'll be releasing minimum spec / recommended spec requirements in the near future. So we'll find out when.
Okay, I want to open a discussion. We've pulled it a couple of times, maybe 3 times in the past. The wilderness ditch.
What?
I would happily see the wilderness ditch removed.
I was talking about mobile.
That's related to mobile.
Before we do answer that one,
I was just opening a new discussion.
just one quick point about the whole mobile is that we haven't sent out any emails yet, by the way, in terms of inviting. So don't fall for any scams that you know they're phishing links. Just ignore them.
Even if an email claims to be from something at jagex.com or runescape.com, that does not mean it's from us.
We are never doing double XP weekends. We're never giving you free stuff from a stream called RuneScape, Jagex, etc. Our streams will only ever happen from this Twitch channel. If you see anybody else that has managed to somehow find a stream at the top of the Twitch directory and it's a past broadcast of ours, claiming to give free stuff away, please just report it. They're very quick to get rid of it. But instead of tweeting us, we can't do anything. Just click report, and that's it.
You know, for a
really
fact,
good about that.
One stream in the future is going to be Fisher's using this stream, and you're going to be saying,
I know!
No XP, no double XP, and it's going to be saying double XP.
So the new mantra, ditch the ditch, has started, and we're going to start a movement.
Ditch the ditch. It's
Get
we
to
want
get
rid
rid
of
of the
time, so we're in
wilderness ditch.
favour.
I'd happily see it gone. It's ugly, it's annoying for PKers, and
It ruins my
players know
nostalgia.
where the wilderness is.
Straw poll's going up.
Oh, we're going to straw poll ditch the ditch.
Ditch the ditch.
I want this mantra, I want it trending. I want it trending on social media, I want you to spam it in your clan
Yeah,
chats in
hashtag
game.
ditch the ditch.
Spread the message. And I'm completely unbiased on this poll.
I want t-shirts and placards.
Yep, t-shirts.
New merch
definitely.
coming to the store soon. Ditch the ditch.
Okay. Speaking of merch, somebody asked where can they buy my shirt. I'm pretty sure it's for sale on our merch store.
I don't know.
Not mine in specific, but
I was going to say, if you sell your actual shirt, it might go for more.
wow.
Well, that's
Kieran,
more than
you-
we got last time.
Kieran can sell anything.
To be fair, this is the highest I've ever seen support for it. Like, even before I started spam.
Well, that's because you gave a speech first.
It was very
Vote for me.
motivating.
All right. Ditch the Ditch has 79%, so Twitch chat wants it
know
gone.
why it didn't pass last time.
Do you know what? When I throw this on YouTube, let's see comparing opinions here of the social medias. So we'll have YouTube comments. Guys, comment on YouTube. This is weird talking to the future.
YouTube comments aren't productive.
Ditch the Ditch, yes or no? Would you like to see it removed or keep it?
Because people did say at the time, we're afraid there'll be lurers, we don't like lurers, that you're going to have more lurers, I might fall for it or something. People worried that they'll fall for what isn't currently a threat to them if we remove the visible ditch. I actually think we could make something that replaces it that isn't visible and lets you walk straight past, but not while you've got the trade screen open. So we might be able to protect them all right. And also, the wilderness has been where it is for a very, very long time now. So I would hope that people are less prone to that kind of thing.
There are signs of skulls done all the way across the line.
We can replace it with something you can see but walk straight through, like a flashing barrier. Wouldn't necessarily be very pretty, but they at least have some visual indicator, even if they don't have to click on it to go through.
What was the other controversial thing related to luring? Was it the free-for-all dangerous Clan Wars portal?
Yeah, in a game that didn't have a PvP wilderness, it made a lot of sense to have one,
Right.
but a lot of people were persuaded somehow to walk through the big red one rather than the big white one, and yeah, I never felt quite that much sympathy for it. The reason we don't have one in old school is that we do have a wilderness where you can do PvP,
Yeah.
It's easy enough to make a red portal.
Fair
We just
enough.
copy the map and save out different rules for it.
Yeah, don't really want to split those guys up even more.
Ditch the ditch.
Let's get through a few more questions. We have a little bit of time left. Andre says, could lucky implings have the non-unique items removed from their drop tables?
We felt that might be a little bit good, but we could increase the chance of getting a unique one rather than one of the other things.
I'm sorry we were looking at doing that.
We were. We said we should try and work out what the actual wealth rate would be if we did it before committing to it.
Okay. DMM Noob, will do rejuvenation. This wasn't actually a question, so I appreciate when people send questions, but sometimes they send essays, and I have to try to summarize. So I've summarized into will do rejuvenation with an exclamation point.
Yes.
Cool.
So this is one that's copy and pasted every single week, and one that we've spoken about in past weeks, particularly coming up to RuneFest when we said we'll be talking about the wilderness soon.
Yeah.
Which we did at WildFest, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Rewatch RuneFest. We
we're
announced
literally doing
wilderness rejuvenation, literally.
okay. Thoughts on adding a hotkey to toggle run? I'm pretty sure we have one of those too, isn't it? Control.
Control.
Okay,
It
so
doesn't toggle it.
today you
just on that
learned
one click, yeah.
you can run by holding control.
Or walk if you're running, I believe.
Yes, yeah.
Maybe.
You can. Obsidian boots and gloves.
How would it work? Would it
Why?
contribute to the set effect, or
No,
no?
because it's already. I think you've just
Yeah.
answered the
I
question.
was just entertaining your
Yeah.
question, yeah.
Dragon boots and rune boots very much fill the slot, and they're
Yeah.
both cheap. Like,
And you've got combat bracelet if you haven't got Barrow's gloves, but if you haven't got Barrow's gloves, you should probably get Barrow's gloves.
Right. Defense says thoughts on granting access to more types of accounts, such as Zerkers, Pures, etc., to the new raid by moving the boat from Berg de Rot to Morton. So we answered this a while back. Essentially, because of the location of Theatre of Blood, people have assumed, rightfully so, that Pures would not be able to access it because they can't access that content. But instead, we've said we would like to make it available to multiple combat builds, account builds. If you think you're able to do it on a Pure, well, you know, good luck. But I think I would like to see some other way to allow people to access it.
Didn't you speak of having the boat from Port Phasmatis rather than
Yes.
from Berg de Rot? Thus, meaning that we aren't stuck behind the Marquis series at all.
Yeah. Honestly, any other way. Like, there's 101 ways we could do it.
In fact, I think we even drew a picture of the boat in the north on one of the images we displayed before.
Yeah, we're not going to look at your account and go, oh, you're a Pure, you can't do this.
Let anyone wants
You
to try
disgust me.
it, but they'd just be at a disadvantage because no defense.
Yeah. Iron Nobank says, can we get a Deadman beta / tournament world to practice Bridding instead of the Clan Wars tourney world?
The no save world that we keep calling a tournament world, we can bring it out with different content available on it. It so happens that it's mostly pointing at Clan Wars, but Jed was able to successfully use it for some other piece of content. We used it for Castle Wars once. We wouldn't necessarily want to have people spread across the entire world on it, but you know, we can unlock different things for it. It doesn't have to be always Clan Wars.
In the build-up to the Inferno, we did Jad as well, didn't we?
We did.
yeah,
Yeah, I think it was Jed, or was it Kieran?
it was me, that one.
Yeah, put a portal to the fight cave and it worked from there. We can unlock different things, all right? We've done sort of previews of, well, we let you try out new future weapons against a selection of bosses in there, I think, as well.
When will we find out about the changes to the next season / finale? We've already said that's going to come next week. Look forward to the next Q&A. Here was a popular suggestion this week. Ice Barrage crackers. So you could use a cracker on a player and it would play the Ice Barrage sound effect.
Trollscape.
I quite like that.
Yeah.
Where did you get them from?
I don't know. I figured this was
Django's
like an
toy
April
store.
Fool's thing.
Well, it's a cracker, maybe Santa.
At Christmas.
I assume it's that kind of cracker they mean.
But hold on, people.
Like
How many
not
people
nut
are going to play with
crackers.
audio on? Like, will they hear it?
I don't play with audio.
It force turns their audio setting up.
Yeah.
You can't get away from it. Max volume.
and then the 4 Criaras and Bandos. Yeah.
The
All right.
Kirara one, I'd love that. To see everyone just rage. Maybe like April Fools. We replace every single
That's
audio
definitely
track with
April
Corel.
Fools.
Yeah.
Well, maybe if we return to the idea of that town cry who stands by the Grand Exchange and shouts advice, we could also make it play the Criara noise whenever it speaks so that people pay attention to it better.
You guys are evil.
Last question for the stream, guys. Anything sticking out in the chat you want to grab?
What about alching items on the floor from Roger's Cyber 1? While I think we would be able to change the spell so that it can be cast on things on the floor, it might rather rely on you being able to get the money into your pocket, I think.
I think it's
Unless it leaves the money on the floor.
It's probably to. I imagine Roger's asking because of the influx of like loot accounts, especially places like Next when people are barraging for Slayer, and then so it would prevent them. They wouldn't be looted anymore, essentially.
Well, also that it's fairly reasonable if people want to pick up the item and immediately alch it. Then if they can cut out the middle stage of that, they wouldn't need an inventory space for it either.
I'd be in favour of it if we could do it.
I wouldn't rule it out.
Yeah, did you say Nex?
Neck
He did say-
rails.
Oh, right.
Short,
that kind
short,
of-
Okay.
short for neck
I
rails.
was like, I'm sure this makes sense. I'm still not there.
Well,
Yeah.
there's a lot of alcohols we give from a lot
Right.
of Slayer tables, like
A
Next.
bigger issue with neck rails, they do drop a lot of alcohols, but the majority of people burst them. Now, because you're bursting them, you also don't have the high alch spell, so people take the Lumbridge ring, which makes it a little bit more inconvenient with casting the spell, unfortunately.
Is that not a choice that you make, though?
Yeah, I was going to say, is that
Well,
really-
yeah, absolutely, it's a
Right.
choice. But
Yes, I'd imagine you could use that.
using the ring on the item on the
Yeah.
floor, sort of thing,
Oh,
if
yeah.
they could make that work, then obviously, but that's hard.
That's what I was picturing.
That's very cool. The ring takes away your spell book because it had to go somewhere and it went with the thing that's a bit like a spell. But if we moved to take away your quest journal instead, that might make it easier to carry on firing while you're using the Lumbridge
I
ring.
can also do that. Currently, as well, the option currently, I'm not sure how many ops are left available, but you have to go through a functions menu, and if you're in combat,
I'll interrupt it.
it
Yes,
interrupts
that's
it.
annoying. We did run out of options, I think. We wouldn't have gone with that options menu if we could avoid.
You can equip it and then I believe use alch more quickly. So
Yeah, we've got more options there.
Well, guys, that is just about going to summarize our stream today. I'm going to ask Modmaz to get a host ready, and we're going to host Manked after this. He's doing some exciting Deadman PKing.
So we have
Very
one
exciting.
last push for Mod Ghost design stream tomorrow as well.
Yeah, so we have Mod Ghost's design stream with the Gargoyle Boss tomorrow, 1 p.m. BST on this Twitch channel. Also worth noting, myself, Mod Sween, Mod Aiza, and Mod Stone will be out of office for the next couple of weeks. We'll be at TwitchCon, so you won't see any of us on the Q&As for the next couple of weeks.
But Mod Kieran is hosting next week.
I'll be hosting next
Oh,
week.
yeah.
Hype.
That being said, guys, thanks for watching. Again, don't miss the stream tomorrow, and enjoy Manked's stream.
Ditch the ditch.
Well.